Hi everyone, I'm Holly and you're watching Kalkine TV live from Sydney. Welcome to the News Beyond Markets, a special show that'll get you all the news that matters for the day. First up on the show are updates on the spread of the Delta variant of the virus in Australia. Australia's New South Wales reported a rise in new infections for the third day in a row. The state authorities said they were still finding a significant number of new COVID-19 cases in the community. This is raising worries of fresh clusters in the state. Half of the 24 reported on Thursday were detected in the community, while others infected were already in home quarantine. Meanwhile, Sydney nears a week of hard lockdown put in place to contain an outbreak of the highly infectious Delta variant. New South Wales State Premier Gladys Berejiklian said that even during a lockdown, many people with flu-like symptoms are going about their business and passing the virus on to others. Australia is battling a rise in infections simultaneously in several states for the first time this year. Nearly half of all Australians are under a stay-at-home order to prevent any significant outbreak of the Delta strain. Sydney, Perth, Brisbane and Darwin imposed lockdowns in the last few days to counter the fast-moving variant. The town of Alice Springs, gateway to UNESCO World Heritage-listed Uluru, joined others to go under a lockdown after an infected traveller spent hours in the city's airport. The total number of cases in the latest outbreak neared 200. The first case was detected more than 2 weeks ago in a limousine driver who transported overseas airline crew. On the other hand, Queensland State detected 2 new local cases as it tracks 4 different virus clusters. 3 of them is the Delta variant. Australia has fared much better than many other developing countries in containing fresh outbreaks during the pandemic through lockdowns, swift contact tracing and strict social distancing, with just over 30,550 cases and 910 deaths. Moving on to an important announcement coming in from the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission. The ACCC proposed to authorise Country Press Australia to collectively negotiate with Facebook and Google over payments for their news content that appears on the platforms. But what exactly does this proposal mean? Well, CPA is seeking authorization so that its members can collectively negotiate with Facebook and Google about payments for content. The authorization will also allow them to engage in discussions and exchange information with each other about those negotiations. The proposed authorization is for a period of 10 years, and without authorization, these arrangements risk breaching competition laws because no digital platforms have yet been designated under the News Bargaining Code. Designation would automatically allow collective bargaining for news media businesses. On the 29th of April, the ACCC granted urgent interim authorization, enabling CPA to commence collective negotiations, while the ACCC continued with the authorization process. The Consumer Commission Chair Rod Sims said that allowing the publishers of 160 newspapers to collectively negotiate with Google and Facebook should help address some of the considerable bargaining power imbalances that exist between the digital giants and the local news outlets. This measure should lead to more efficient and effective negotiations, making commercial deals more likely and thereby contributing to the sustainability of news in regional Australia. Country Press Australia currently represents 81 news publishers who publish 160 regional newspapers across the country. The ACCC invites submissions in response to the draft determination by the 21st of July. Well, now it is time for a short break, but don't go anywhere as I'll be back with more news updates that matter.
Crypto talk by Kalkine. The crypto market has been red hot given the Bitcoin rally since the past year. And now the most famous cryptocurrency has got competitors, Dogecoin and Ethereum. If the crypto market excites you, tune in with me, Sage, to know the latest developments about the existing digital currencies and the new ones that are joining the race. I'll help you understand the opportunities and the risks the crypto market has in store for you. For all the digital currency related developments, continue watching Crypto Talk by Kalkine.
Welcome back, I'm Holly and you're watching the news beyond the markets. Now to an update from a recent approval by the Australian government to form a coal project in Queensland. The government has approved a $175 million loan to support development work on the Olive Downs metallurgical coal project in Queensland. The financial support lent by the Northern Australian Infrastructure Facility comes as banks and financial institutions are facing increased pressure to stop supporting coal and other fossil fuel projects. Australia is the world's biggest coal exporter but is yet to commit to a pathway to net zero emissions by 2050. Support for coal was a key factor behind the ruling Liberal National Coalition's 2019 election victory. Keith Pitt, the Minister for Resources, Water and Northern Australia, said that the Olive Downs project will create up to 700 jobs during the construction phase and more than 500 new jobs when fully operational. The project is being developed by Pembroke Resources, which is backed by private equity resources firm Denham Capital in the Bowen Basin of Queensland. Olive Downs is expected to produce 15 million tonnes per year of saleable coal with a mine life of 79 years. Pembroke Resources said that it plans to supply metallurgical coal from the project to Japan, South Korea, China and India. So look out, Asia, coal is on the way. And there's more reason than that to celebrate as we in Australia are kickstarting a new financial year today. And with that comes a number of new measures that were announced in the 2021 federal budget. So let's see what these changes are from today. From tax relief for businesses and workers, higher superannuation payments and housing assistance for first home buyers, the budget announced several measures. The most significant change for individuals from today is the extension of the low and middle income tax offset. The tax offset gives an end of financial year rebate of up to $1,080 for singles and $2,160 for couples. The government announced in the budget that the offset would continue into the 2021 to 22 income year. The Treasury estimates that extending the offset will boost gross domestic product by about $4.5 billion in the coming years. It also helped in creating an extra 20,000 jobs. The other substantial change from the 1st of July is the increase in the superannuation guarantee from 9.5% to 10%. Now, what does it mean for the average Australian? Well, according to estimates by the Association of Superannuation Funds of Australia, this means that an extra $6.50 of the income will be put into super each week. On the other hand, if a worker is paid on a total package basis and their salaries are inclusive of super, they could see their take-home pay fall to fund the increase in super payments. The government is expected to launch an online comparison tool on Thursday to encourage Australians to switch out the underperforming superannuation funds. The Use Super tool by the government will help individuals to do the same. And apart from this, there are a few policies that come into effect this week for single parents and first home buyers. The new $300,000 family home guarantee is one of the measures. It'll allow 10,000 single parents to buy their first home with a deposit of just 2% over the next 4 years. The government is extending the new home guarantee, which enables deposits of 5% to an additional 10,000 first home buyers. Meanwhile, there are also a few measures announced for small and medium businesses that come into effect from today. Businesses with a turnover of less than $50 million will benefit from a cut in the corporate tax rate from the 26% to 25%. And measures to make research and development expenditure more tax effective will also come into effect this week. This includes an increase in the R&D expenditure threshold from $100 million to $150 million a year. So keep those changes in mind as they come into effect from today, with the government extending measures of relief to this financial year. Before we close, a quick update coming to you from the world of sports. Nick Kyrgios had his first match since the Australian Open in February and defeated number 21 seed Ugo Humbert 9-7 in his fifth set of their suspended first-round match at Wimbledon. In a disjointed match that was halted overnight at 3-all in the fifth set, Kyrgios broke through for an 8-7 lead and then saved 2 breakpoints in the final game before clinching the match with a service winner to progress through to the second rounds. On that note, that is all from us today. Keep watching Kalkine TV for more live updates and stay apprised with Kalkine TV.